Today, the 15th of October, the Holy Catholic Church celebrates the feast of St.Teresa of Avila. For the Carmelites, it is the solemnity of their mother, the foundress of their order. To her family at Avila, Teresa is known as Teresa de Cepeda y Ahumada. She was born in Avila, Castile in Spain in 1515 on the 28th of March. And after living 67 years on this planet, she died on the 4th of October 1582. In 1614, that is about 100 years after her birth, she was beatified, and in 1622, she was canonized as a saint. She is the spiritual teacher and mother and spiritual formator of the Carmelite, discalced Carmelites. She is also known as the patroness of Catholic writers, and in 1970 she was made as the doctor of the church along with Catherine of Siena. And remember, she is the first woman to be named as the doctor of the church. Teresa, looking into her life, we can find Teresa from the very early age had a passion for heaven. And that is what we find in her. When she was a child, she wanted to run away with her cousin to the Muslim world. Not just to escape the family, but to be martyred. Because she understood that only martyrdom can get an entry into heaven. Later, at the age of 20, she joined the Carmelite Convent of Incarnation at Avila. From there, she started her journey towards God. But we know, as a young girl, she had her passions, she had her difficulties, she had her temptations. To a certain extent, the situation in incarnation was favorable for these temptations. But her passion for God did not stop there. She was converted. God was with her. Even though she forgot God for some time, God was with her. God converted her. And she thought, remaining in incarnation would not be or will not make her the saint or the heaven that she desired for. So, she wanted to have a little more stricter rule, stricter life. So, with the permission of the major superiors, she together with other companions selected for a stricter life and thus founded the convent of St. Joseph. Journeying through her history, life history, we can find she founded not one, several convents after convents to follow the rigid rule. Not just to make the life impossible, but to make life more acceptable to God. Her life was a journey towards God. And the failures or the difficulties that she experienced on her journey was a stepping stone for her perfection towards God. The policy that she maintained in her life was that everyone, as a Catholic, can become a saint. Hence she said, the famous saying is there, saintliness is not an impossible thing. It's not a possibility for a person, but it is the essential nature of every Catholic person. And she asked, living with her sisters, she wanted her sisters to be happy. Even though they had the strict following of the rules, strict following of the religious consecration, she asked her sisters to be joyful. Because she said, a joyful saint is acceptable to God or always joyful. Or on the other hand, a sorrowful saint is a sorry saint. And she will not be able to fulfill her vocation in the religious life. So as a whole, we can find Teresa was passionate for what she desired for, that is, to be with God, not just attain something in life, but to attain the perfection of holiness, attain the perfection in holiness with God. So her journey we can find, every side we can find the multi-form of God's face. And each saint had a different vocation and different areas of perfection. In Teresa of Avila we can find the perfection in conversing with God, that is the continuous prayer. We can find she gives a very good teaching in her books, in Foundations, as well as in her letters, and as well as in the Way of Perfection. She narrates how to attain nearer to God through prayer. And her journey through prayer, she gives so many similes, so many parables, like stories that can help even the simple members of the community to adapt and accept the prayer life of Carmel. So as a whole, we can find Teresa, even though she had difficult times, each difficult situation she made into a path that leads to her perfection. And in today's world, she says, pray or walk towards God through prayer, and that will help us, or that will make us nearer to God or take us to God. And that is what every religious should seek to, every religious should aspire to. So on this day when we celebrate her solemnity, let us, as religious as well as people who are aspiring to holiness, let us be aware that whatever happens in our life, God will never abandon us, but we can make it a stepping stone towards our journey, to our journey towards God. And let us pray for that perfection in life. And let us, by praying, let us make our surroundings, let us know the surroundings, and by knowing the surroundings, let us take more initiatives in our life and thus become the better persons and closer allies of God.